Hello, sixth graders. Today we are looking at place value. Our learning targets for today are I can identify place value of decimal numbers. And we have two today. Our other learning target is I can round numbers to any given place value. So we take a look at this chart. This is a place value chart, so just showing us some of the place values. All right, in the middle here we have our decimal point. Okay. Then we have the values to the left of that decimal point and to the right of that decimal point. Okay, some of them that you know, we've got our ones place. So these are our numbers 0 through 9. Once we go above 9, we move into our tens place. So 10 would be 1 and 0. Okay, and then after that we move into our hundreds place. Then our thousands, our 10,000s, our 100,000s, and our millions, and it continues to go on past a million. All right, then going the other direction, this direction here, this is after the decimal point. Okay, so these are things like tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s. I want you to take a look and notice, okay, everything after the decimal point ends in this THS. So, like I said, tenths, we have that thousands, and so forth. And again, it continues to go on past the 10,000s. We're going to look at today ways how we say the word, the numbers that we have written in front of us. So if we were given this number, okay. Now, one thing to note before we start pronouncing these, this decimal point here is where we use that word and. Okay, decimal point reads as and. So when we are reading this number, it would be 4 and 8 tenths. Okay, 4 and 8 tenths. And it goes on in that same way. Okay, we are also looking at rounding today. Okay, and here's some things that says when we round numbers, it gives us an estimate or an about answer. So we take a number and we would say it is about, and then we give the next number. Okay, so here's some steps for rounding numbers. So number one, we identify the underlined digit. Okay, if it's not underlined, we're also going to say this as the place value. Okay, so it would say identify the place value. Okay, the place value that we want to round to. Then we are going to look at the number to the right of the place value you are rounding. Okay, so for example, if we had the number 4.89, okay, which would be pronounced 4 and 89 hundredths, because we end in the hundredths place. Okay, let's say we wanted to round to the tenths place. Okay, we look at that tenths, but then we look at the number to the right of the tenths, which is in our hundreds place here. Okay. If it is 5 or more, we raise the score. Okay, a little rhyme for you to help you remember. All right, so it is more than 5, so that means we raise this place value that we are rounding to, and it rounds up 1. So this would round, I'm going to kind of zoom out and move this over. So this would round to about or approximately, that's what that symbol there means, 4 and 9 tenths. Okay, if we were given the number 3 and 12 hundredths, and again we want to round to that tens place, we look to the number right. So we had 5 or more, raise the score. If it's 4 or less, let it rest. Okay, 4 or less, let it rest. So for this one, it is less than 4, so that therefore that 1 just stays the same. So that 3 and 12 hundredths rounded to the nearest tenths is approximately 3 and 1 tenth. Okay, step 3 says change all the digits to the right of the underlying number into zeros. So that's just saying where this 9 was on top here, we would just fill it in with a 0. And on where this 2 was, we just fill it in with a 0. Okay? All right, let's take a look at some examples down here. First, we have to identify the place value that we are rounding to. So it says round the following numbers to the ones place. And if we look back at that chart on our last page, the ones place is right here in front of the decimal. Okay. So now we look to the number to the right of the decimal. Okay, which is our 9. Okay, it is 5 or more, so we raise the score, so that means this one goes up 1. So 2 rounds up to 3, and then we fill it in with zeros after that. I'm going to put this symbol again, so that means approximately, or about. So that our answer, 2 and 924 thousandths, is approximately 3. All right, let's try this next one. If you think you got it, try it on your own. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Again, we're rounding to the nearest ones place. So we look at the value to the right of that. It is 4 or less, so we let it rest, which means that stays to 0. Okay, it doesn't go up at all, it stays the same. We fill in with zeros after the rounded number. Okay, so 0 and 12 thousandths is approximately 0. It rounds to 0. All right, let's try these bottom two. Round the following numbers to the tenths place. Notice we got that THS. Again, anytime we see that THS at the end, we know that it's on the right side of the decimal. Okay, so we are looking at the tenths place, which is right here. Again, we look to the number to the right of it. So we look at that 1. It is 4 or less, so we let this rest. Okay, this one just stays the same. So we copy the 32 again. This does not change, so it is a 0. And then we fill in with zeros after that. So again, our original number, 32 and 145 10,000ths, because we're in the 10,000ths place, would be approximately 32. Next one here. Again, if you want to try this on your own, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to go through it here with you. We again are rounding to the tenths place. Okay. So we have 10 and 376 thousandths, because we're ending in the thousands place. All right, so we look at the tenths, we look at the number to the right of it, so that's 7. 5 or more raise the score, so that means this 3 is going to raise up 1. So it raises from 3 up to 4. Again, we have approximately, since we are rounding, it is not an exact answer. So it raised up to 4. Again, we fill in with zeros at the end, and we would have 10 and 4 tenths as our final answer. A couple more here to try. Round the following numbers to the hundredth place. Okay? Again, that THS tells us that we're to the right of the decimal point. So tenths, hundredths, we're looking to round to that value. So we look at the number to the right of it. It is 5 or more, raise the score. So this raises up to a 3. Again, approximately. So we had 259 10,000ths, and we rounded it to 300ths. Next one here, again, the hundredth place. So right here, we look to the number to the right of it. 4 or less, let it rest. Okay, so it's going to be approximately. We had 5 and 123 10,000ths. Oops, I'm sorry. 5 and 123 thousandths. We are rounding it to that 2 stays the same. So 5 and 12 hundredths. And again, you can fill in with the zeros at the after the rounded value. Next, we are rounding the following numbers to the thousandths place. Again, TH after the decimal to the right of the decimal. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, so we're looking at this 8 here. We have 14 and 782 10,000ths, and we're looking around to the thousandths place. So we look at that 2 next to it. Okay, 4 or less, let it rest, which means that the 8 will stay the same. Oops, that's an 8. Fill in with a 0 at the end. So our rounded value now becomes 14 and 78 thousandths. All right, last one. If you got it, go ahead. Otherwise, pause it and try it. Otherwise, we'll go through it together here. So we're looking at the thousandths place again. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So we look to the value next to the right of it. 5 or more, raise the score. Okay, so if it's a 9, it's going to raise up to a 10. All right, which then moves us into the place in front of it. All right, since it's a 10, this one then it's going to move again and make this into a 1 more, an 8. So we had 3 and 2,799 10,000ths, and that rounded to the thousandths place is 3 and 28 hundredths. And again, you can fill in the zeros at the end. Okay, that is all for today. If you need to go back and rewatch any part of it, you can surely do that. Otherwise, go ahead and go take the place value and rounding 9ku.